Today we're going to reflect on a very famous sutta. It's called the Karaniya Metta Sutta. It is found in the oldest part of the Tipitaka, which shows a very old teaching. It is also found in the latest part of the Tipitaka, in one of the very first of the 15 books of the Khuddaka Nikaya, which is a very late collection, we say. So it shows the importance of this particular sutta. Now it's very important, our attitude to the sutta is very important. Never treat the suttas like newspapers, meaning you might say, oh, I heard that sutta before. So you shut yourself off from that sutta. I like to see suttas like a beautiful piece of classical music that you love very much. So you listen to it again and again. Or better still, you're a musician, so you practice playing that piece until you're really good at it. That's what the suttas are about. The suttas never grow old. We grow old, but the suttas never grow old. But as we grow older, our understanding of the suttas become better. I think I'm 68 this year. I kept forgetting my age. I just asked my wife what my age is. So, I've been doing sutta since I was a teenager, so about 50 over years. And I've been studying the suttas many times. I don't know how many times I've studied the Metta Sutta. Okay, so every time I study it again, you get deeper into it. You see something else. You begin to see the connections. So this is called Dhamma Garavata. Garavata means respect. There are 4 basic respects we must practice as Buddhists. Satta Garavata, respect to the teacher, that's the Buddha. The Buddha is our only refuge. Then the Dhamma Garavata, respect for the Dhamma, the true teaching of the Buddha. There are many teachings, but you must always go back to the Buddha. You can talk about any kind of Buddhism, but you must go back to early Buddhism. Without early Buddhism, there's no other Buddhism. It's like you're cutting off the roots. Then Sangha Garavata refers to the great saints of the past, the stream winners, the ones-returners, non-returners, and arahats, laymen, lay women, monks and nuns, those saints who have practiced the way. We respect them, they are our examples. And then there is Patisantara Garavata, which you see here. I'm very happy. This is one place I can say it's a lot of this Patisantara Garavata, respect by welcoming people. Patisantara means hospitality. You welcome people here. Because when people come to a place like this, they are looking for something. They want peace. They are searching for wisdom. So it's very important we respect them, answer their questions respectfully, listen to them carefully. You can never know. Someone may come here on a matter of life and death, and you are there to help this person change this karma. This is what this kind of place is about. And this sutta, Metta Sutta, tells us how to be strong as Dhamma practitioners, as Dhamma teachers, Dhamma friends. Of course, you all know the story behind this sutta, a very famous story. The monks were meditating in the forest, and the forest spirits were not very happy. Of course, some of you scientific-minded people may say, oh, where got spirits? Well, if there are no forest spirits, you can say those jungle people. Those forest monks will tell you, sometimes they go in the forest, some of these indigenous people who live in the forest don't like presence of a foreigner. So they will make ghostly sounds, frighten this monk. And this monk will do loving kindness. That's what the Buddha taught the monks, to do lots of loving kindness. And these forest spirits felt very good about it, and in fact, in a sense, made the place very pleasant, and the monks, it was during the rains retreat, so they were meditating very well, and then by the end of the rains retreat, they became arahats already. It's so easy to get enlightened those days, easy to awaken those days. On the other hand, it's not difficult to use this sutta for you to attain stream winning in this life even. I don't know how many of you here keep coming to temple and you tell yourself, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't think I can go to nirvana. I got so much defilements. I don't think I can be a stream winner. Now, it's very strange if you are a Buddhist, you don't know where you're going. Every other religion, they know they're going somewhere. Heaven especially, But we know, heaven is it's impermanent, Well, go back and read chapter 25 of the Samyutta Nikaya, which says, if you practice the perception of impermanence, you regularly reflect on impermanence, even metta, this wonderful metta is impermanent. You do that regularly. The Buddha, there are 10 suttas in chapter 25 of S25. All the 10 suttas have one same message. The Buddha's guarantee that you'll become a stream winner in this life. I was surprised to find this set of suttas, It really put back my faith totally in the Dhamma. If you regularly practice the perception of impermanence, the sutta says, the Buddha says, you will attain stream winning in this life itself. Of course, that sounds a bit, you might not be so believing in it. But the last line, I was really convinced. The Buddha says, if you do not get it in this life, you will certainly get it at the moment of passing away. And that makes good sense. When you, at the moment of passing away, you're sure to be stream winner. Because your daily life, you have been reflecting on impermanence. You can use metta to reflect on impermanence. You can use breath meditation to reflect on impermanence. Impermanence is everywhere. It's the basis of Buddhism. If someone asks you, what must I learn in Buddhism? Just one thing, for me to really realize the goal. What is called the visible fruit of the Dhamma. Just like what Prince Ajatasattu asked the Buddha, teach me the visible fruit of the Dhamma, what you can see here and now in this life. This is the one. Practice of impermanence. No need to know Abhidhamma, no need to know deep suttas. The practice of impermanence. But suttas are important because that's where you get all this information and teaching from. That's why we need that. Okay? But even if you find suttas are difficult, it's okay. Practice impermanence. All right? So that's the background to this study. Okay, now you have this sutta here. This is from our website, I think, the Dhammafera website. You can get all these suttas from the dhammafera.org. Dhammafera, D-H-A-R-M-A, English spelling. Okay, so now this sutta is roughly in 3 parts, 3 unequal parts. The first part is the practice of moral virtue, all right? And then second part is practice of concentration, meditation. And the last part, just a couple of lines, is the wisdom and liberation aspect. The sutta starts, what should be done by one skilled in good? Okay, we need to scroll up a bit. What should be done by one skilled in good? Right? I would say most of you are skilled in good, all of you are skilled in good, in a sense, keeping the precepts and so on. What do we do next? Having understood the state of peace, nirvana, in other words, here we know nirvana is peace. We all have difficulties. Wow, nirvana is such a difficult concept. Yeah, you take it as a concept, it's very difficult. You philosophize, it's very difficult. There's a very simple way to reflect on nirvana. Next time you get angry, then you realize, actually, it's all a misunderstanding. We often hear that. Things clear up, then you find the anger is gone. Where's the anger gone? Nowhere. That is a momentary example of nirvana. Now imagine that disappearance of anger is gone nowhere, and yet it's not there. You can't talk any more than that. That is an example of nirvana on a permanent basis. So it's not difficult to imagine what nirvana is, right? But beyond that, of course, you've got to experience it for yourself. So if we can accept this kind of explanation, this understanding, we say having understood that state of peace is this. One should be able, upright, thoroughly upright. So able, that means you got to learn some things, to do things, to whatever you are. If you're a lay person, you're skilled in living a lay life. If you're a monk, you learn whatever the monk has to learn. And then upright, keeping the precepts well, completely upright. You wouldn't even break the smallest precept. You try your best, in other words. easy to speak to, gentle, not arrogant. Right? So this ability to listen, to learn. The term learner is very sacred in Buddhism. Learner, seka. We are not learners yet because we forget very easily. I don't know how many talks you've been hearing all these years. And still, how many of you are enlightened already? How many of you are awakened? Right? So, because we forget, right? The opposite of forgetting is sati, remembering. It also translates as mindfulness. To remember the teaching is very important. When you remember the teaching, you connect them. When you connect them, then something happens inside you. You change. You become a different person. To become a different person doesn't mean you're not approachable anymore. You're different. You feel like you are higher than others. No, you're more approachable. You're more ready to talk to people. Whatever you say, people feel peaceful. This idea of feeling is very important in Buddhism. It's the opposite of thinking. This is meditation language. No? You see, when you read Buddhism, you talk Buddhism, you got to understand you are talking Dhamma language. Don't confuse it with everyday language out there. Right? So, for example, meditation teachers often say, feel. Right? Feel here is the translation, one easy translation for pati sangvedeti. It's a very long word. The root word is with, meaning to know. But here, pati sangvedeti translates simply as feel. But this feel, to feel, means to experience directly. For example, someone may ask you, how do you feel about this? We don't ask, what do you think about this? That's opinion. How do you know about it? Something else. How do you feel about this? So you must feel your meditation. When you feel your meditation, that means here's your mind, here's your breath. There's nothing in between. What is usually in between is one of your five senses. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. They intervene. They disrupt your meditation. So there's no concentration. So you remove this media, the five senses. That's why we close our eyes, we let go of sounds and so on, so that we can directly experience the object of meditation. That's called to feel, to experience directly. You see this in the arts, music. That's why people feel joyful when they listen to music, they look at beautiful paintings. And if you are in that kind of area, you understand what the meditators are talking. To produce good music, a good dance, a beautiful painting, you got to feel. You want to be an artist, you have to feel, experience directly. Okay? So, to be quite honest with you, just to talk about this feeling, I can spend a whole talk to tell you about this. It's a very important aspect of Buddhist practice. Contented and easily supportable. All right? Contented, that means you're happy with what you have. What we have, in a sense, is because of our good karma. But in one of the suttas, the Buddha told Moggallana, whatever is of the world is not yours, let it go. Whatever we have, we use the word have in English. This is called the spirituality of grammar. The Dharma of grammar, if you like. Whatever you have is not yours. It's yours to have, yes. Now, Ratna is mine to have, my wife, but she's not mine. You see? Right? We have a lot of money. It's not really ours. One day you can lose it. I have one friend who, during the Lehman Brothers thing, he lost his money. I'm very happy because he learned sutta and he came up to me and said, I lost a lot of money, but I'm still happy because all I lost is only money. I said, sadhu, so happy with this person. So he doesn't allow the money to trouble him. You can always work hard to get back the money, but you cannot get back your sanity if you lose it. It's very hard, Right? So this idea of contentment is very important. if you define yourself by what you have, and one day you lose all that you have, what are you? Nothing. Because if you define yourself by the things you have, you lose them, you can lose them, you will lose them. You lose everything. So there is what is called what you are. In psychology, we say to have and to be. The English verb be, you have is, are, was, were, and so on, many different ones. You come the same category. I can have a lot of things in the world, but they're never mine. But I can be something, that's really me. For example, I do metta, you do metta, that is you. All right? You are loving kind. Here we come another problem. There's no adjective for loving kindness, So some people say, don't know what to say, So you use the word loving kind. I know it's not in the dictionary. That's fine. You keep on using it over many, many years. The Oxford Dictionary will observe and say, okay, let's put that in. If I say loving kind, it makes sense, doesn't it? You know, I know, and we've got 100 people here who accept it. No problem. We start using the words, and the dictionaries will define the word. The dictionary will accept the definition. Remember, the dictionaries do not define the words we use. We define the words we use. When I do my translation work, I find that I have to use the word in my own way. And then you explain what's the meaning of the words. Okay? So this is where you rise above fixed views. So translation is a very interesting work. That's what I've been doing for the last 15 years, every day doing sutta translation. So it comes back to contentment. Contentment is the greatest wealth. Santutti parama labha, greatest wealth. Because if you're happy, whatever you have, you truly enjoy it. You can have a lot of things, but you want more and more, you never have the time to enjoy it. That's the meaning here. Easily supportable, of course, especially for monks and nuns, easy to support them. Then, you find they are truly renunciants, all right? With little busyness and living a simple life. Right? Today you are here, relax, and you come here for yourself. That's wonderful. After this, tomorrow you go back to work. You're not yourself. The company that owns you, you go back. Right? They pay you some money, but they own you. That's the new world. So this is your special holy day. Originally, holiday is holy day, okay? Because we take a break, we come here for ourselves. Nobody asks you to come. Well, maybe you can drag along, but it's okay. But you come here by yourself, for the Dharma, okay? So don't be too busy, in other words. That's why being a monk is very important. A good monk is never busy. You can visit him anytime. I remember when I was a monk, somebody came knocking at the door at 2 a.m. in the morning. I said, my son's in a trance. Can you please help? So you have no rest. Your doors are never closed, The Buddha's door has no lock. The Gandhakuti, the fragrance cells, no lock. You go to all the monasteries, the good monasteries, forest monasteries, there's no lock. Right? That's the monk's life. With the senses calm and wisely careful. You have to calm your senses, meaning here, letting go, whatever you don't need to see. That's why we can move our head. So if someone's not very friendly, look the other way. Calm the senses. Because if your senses are calm, then your mind begins to calm. And here, nipako, that means you are wise in directing your mind so that you don't get distracted. Unobtrusive and not running after families. So this is special advice for the monks, but it reflects on us too. Don't be busybody, telling people things which will trouble them, their families, and so on. Being pushy, something like that. In other words, you learn to listen to people. You learn to move with them and help them in that way by being with them and not running after families. In other words, in the Vinaya, there is something called not corrupting families. And one of the advice Buddha gives there is, don't pretend to be really nice, the family, but the reality is you want something from them. He wants the monks not to do that. All this is to prepare the monks, prepare us for loving kindness. Next section, section 3. And let one not do even a small wrong for which others who are wise might censure. In the Bhittika Sutta, the discourse on the foreign cloth, some wanderers who are jealous of the Buddha tried to frame the Buddha for the murder of one of the female wanderers. They claim, the Buddha had an affair with this woman and then murdered her. The Buddha didn't say anything. Then the king came along and investigated. The king, Pasenadi, he respects the Buddha very much, so he does not go directly to the Buddha. So he goes to Ananda. He asks Ananda, how well do you know the Buddha? Do you think he's really a good person? Basically, that's what the sutta is about. Do you think he's really a good person? What do the people say about the Buddha? Ananda was very wise. Ananda basically he says, it doesn't matter what people say. It is what the wise people say about the Buddha. That one line changed the king's opinion, The king understood. What do the wise people tell about us? If the wise people tell we are wrong, we've got to really listen, If the public, the gossipy public, tell us all kinds of things, that, you Buddhists, why you do this, why you do that? They like to criticize us, right? People sometimes say, your suttas are so difficult to read, and so I say, no need to read it, and just listen, But the wise will say, wow, this is wonderful, I've been looking for this. So it's the wise whose opinion we value. And who are the wise? They are not the enlightened ones, because it's very difficult to find enlightened ones in Singapore. They are those who are well educated, they are good, they are morally virtuous people, you can accept their advice, that kind of people. Right? And there are always such people around anyway, even here. So these are the kind of people whose opinions we value, the wise. Okay, that's the meaning here. Okay, then comes the first method of cultivation of loving kindness. This is where we send to all beings. Okay, this is section 2, brackets A. We say, may they be happy and safe. Sukhino wa kemino hontu. Sukhino, may they be happy. Kemino, may they be safe. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata. The very famous line, May all beings be happy at heart. Or simply, may all beings be happy. Also can. So this just saying it. Now imagine, how do these words help us? Right? Some of us may wonder, how do these words help us? We just say the words. Well, that's the point, you just say it. Because in our heads, there is this loop, this tape, telling us a lot of negative things. We have been recording all these negative messages since we were young. All kinds of people telling us, you are like this, you are like that. All negative thoughts. And then this loop is playing. And sometimes we tell ourselves, I'm a failure, and so on, that kind of messages, You don't want to hear this by playing all the time. And this is what stunts us, prevents us from growing. So by saying, I am well, I'm happy, may I be well, may I be happy. And the fourth sentence is very important. I accept myself just as I am. There was once in my class, a close friend. She's a very difficult friend because she has a lot of family problems, and basically she herself admits she comes from a dysfunctional family. So the moment you're nice to her, then she will treat you like family, meaning she'll talk to you in a very nasty way. So we have to be very patient with her. Then one day she comes for meditation. So we come to loving kindness and we say, okay, say these words, I accept myself just as I am. She said that. And then during feedback time, she said, when I said that, I broke down and cried, she said. Because no one ever told me all my life, and she's like mid-20s, said, all my years, no one ever told me I'm good enough because my family don't love me, they just want my money, they kick me about, But I realized when I said, I accept myself just as I am, suddenly I feel so good. I empowered myself. So that's the power of loving kindness. I think most of us are not really hurt, so we don't feel the power of loving kindness. But you have been hurt before, and then you do loving kindness. Suddenly you find, oh, I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. I can start from there. I feel very happy. Okay? So that's the meaning of to be happy. You start with yourself. Like charity, loving kindness must start with yourself, and then you send it out. Okay? Of course, there are some who say, I can't do it for myself. That's okay. You start by sending out to others, to good friends, even to animals. There was one case, this person say, oh no, I don't like people. I can't send loving kindness to people. Say, what? Okay, what about animals? Oh, animals are worse, so dirty, you know. And I say, oh dear, what do we do? What do you tell them? Then, what do you like? I asked. No? So, okay, the thing is, I love plants. Ah, okay, good. Think of plants, you know, you're taking care of the plants, you're pruning them, watering them. I say, oh, can, okay. So there you are. We always have something we love, okay? And start there. You start there. That's your safe spot, the seed, all right? Whatever living beings there are, be they moving or still, without exception. Okay, so this one's called the Boundless Approach, where you send your loving kindness to all beings, moving or still. Okay, without going into technicality, we can simply say, moving are those still trembling with fear, greed, hatred. You know, whether they are still not, whether they're not awakened or they are still, them is very calm, like the saints, you know, may they all be well and happy. Some scholars, translators say, moving are human beings, still are like trees and plants. That's another way to interpret it. We want the plants and trees also to be there, because without plants and trees, we won't survive, you know, right? So we need to send our loving kindness to the plants also. Without any exception, that's called breaking the barriers. Okay, you send it to everyone. Be they long, be they large, medium, short, tiny, or great. So this is where we send to all kinds of beings. This is an attempt to classify different kinds of beings in early Buddhism. Be they seen or unseen. And here you have, we believe that some beings, some presence which are unseen, like pretas, for example, you know. Pretas are a bit complicated. We have all kinds of beliefs. Every culture got their beliefs. Let's just say that these beings are suffering. They can't communicate with you the way they want. They are suffering. So your loving kindness can help them to free themselves from their suffering. Let me just give a quick take on this preta thing. Sometimes those relatives who pass away and there are lots of attachment to this life, so they kind of still have this attachment, so they become pretas. And they keep coming back to the old familiar places. They are basically not very happy beings. They're always depressed, always worried. They're very addictive. They want things, but they can never get enough of it. They can never get it, in fact. So they have this very dark, very unhappy feeling in their minds. So when you send your loving kindness to them, you can help them. The Tirokuda Sutta teaches you to do exactly how to do it. All right? When you want to dedicate merits, anytime, loving kindness is very important. If you don't have loving kindness, it won't work. That is why we cannot let someone else do for it. You know, if you are rich, you employ all those professional mourners cry for you. Don't waste your money. Donate it to BF is better. You got to do it yourself. In the Buddha's time, even the kings, they served the Buddha himself. Doing it yourself, very important. And here, do it with loving kindness. May my family be well and happy. May my relatives be well and happy. Let's say if I'm the one who's dead in my consciousness, my intermediate body, what they call intermediate state, floating around, and say, oh, look, all my friends are gathered here, and they are doing metta, they're thinking of me kindly. I'll be so happy, Then when I'm happy, I will fall from that state. All I need is this ability to feel joy, A very simple example, we all tend to feel very depressed sometimes, and nothing seems to work. It's our birthday. Nobody even say hello to us. So it's not my birthday today, right? It's my younger son. Yesterday was my older son, 21 years old. So it's your birthday, and nobody wished you. It's very depressing. See what happened? The world's forgotten me. So you're really depressed. You're a preta for a while. And then you come home, you open the door, suddenly the light's gone. Happy birthday, surprise, surprise. You're so happy, right? People remember you after all. So from preta, you become deva, okay? Because these people remembered you. That's a simple example how this works when you dedicate merits to the pretas, okay? Psychologically speaking, yeah? We dedicate merits, no transference, wrong view, You cannot transfer merits. Goodness cannot be transferred. This is not negotiable. But you can radiate metta, yes, okay? Those dwelling far or near, those dwelling far or near. Here, of course, loving kindness, you don't worry about distance. You can send people here. People as far away. I have friends in Canada, South America. We have this Facebook where we all study suttas. It's a sutta Facebook, no trolling allowed. And these are really serious people from different parts of the world. So this is a global ministry, wonderful group of people, So it can be far or near. And then those already born, those seeking birth. Okay, this is very controversial. Those already born, of course, people like us, may all beings be well and happy. Then you have those seeking birth, samba we si. Samba we si, according to the modern Buddhists, even Theravada Buddhists, they say this is the intermediate state. This is the in-between birth, a being to be born. If you follow the traditional interpretation of the commentaries, Buddha Gosha say, Samba we si means these egg-born beings. First, they're like the birds. They're born the egg and then they come out, It doesn't sound right. So most modern monks today, they reject this interpretation. This is not sutta, it's commentary. So they say this Sambhavesi refers to the intermediate state. In other words, some beings, because of the karma, especially attachment, when they die, they are not reborn in any states. They are just caught like in between, just this consciousness floating around, seeking birth. So this is the one. So we wish them well and happy also. Then the last line in this section says, may all beings be happy at heart. Okay, sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata, repeat of the line above. Second method, cultivation of loving kindness, is called the social method. In other words, dealing with people. This section 6. Let none humiliate another. Don't look down on anyone. Despise not anyone anywhere in any way, on account of anger or at the sign of dislike. You've got to read the last line first. No? The sign of anger. Now we all know this. If you're a meditator, you say, I can feel anger coming. No, that's good. If you notice that, then you deal with it. Okay? So the moment you notice the sign of anger, you say, okay, we're all beings, we're all unhappy. You intervene with loving kindness at the very sign of anger. So this is where in Buddhist psychology we have two words, the sign and the details. Because if you don't stop at the sign, then the details will come in and grab you. You start thinking of all the terrible things you don't like about this person, and you get very angry. Those are the details. So the moment the sign arises in your mind, anger, nip it in the bud with loving kindness. That's the meaning. A simple example. In Facebook, it makes a lot of people very brave, They're normally very shy, but then they become very brave, they can scold you, So they write some nasty letters. Some of the things are right. Make some people happy, make some people not happy, So this person got very angry, wrote to me, why you write like this and so on. So I said, first of all, may you be well and happy. I wrote this because of that. And then he wrote back and said, I'm sorry, I was angry just now. And then suddenly the tone changes. So if you don't fight back, you're not reactive, you find this person also follows you. That's an example of what's meant here. Now comes the unique part of the sutta. Sorry? Which one is that? Oh, yeah, sorry. Let one not humiliate another, despise not anyone anywhere in any way on account of anger or the sign of dislike. So don't humiliate people. Don't make them feel stupid, things like that. Especially in public talks, you find, don't make fun of people. Very important. Public talks, sometimes people seem to ask the wrong questions, but they ask out of wanting to know. Okay? So especially in public talks, respect the audience. That's the meaning here. All right, now comes the famous, it's called simile or parable, the mother parable. This is the only parable in the whole sutta. Sometimes you can call this meditation a mother meditation. Okay, let me read first and explain. Just as a mother would guard her own child, her one and only child, with her own life, even so, towards all beings, let one cultivate a boundless heart. I suppose it's easier for women, for mothers. So in your meditation, you imagine everyone here are your children. How would you treat them? Wow, what is your children? Like Vishaka, Vishaka loved that, She loves children, the lady Vishaka. So, especially for teachers, when teachers have a problem with their students, I say, well, do this meditation. Treat the students like your kids. If they're your kids, even if they're naughty, you still treat them well. Right? So this is called the mother meditation. Yeah. So it comes from here. Then the 2D. This one is the mother method, and let one cultivate to all the world a boundless heart of loving kindness, above, below, and across, unhindered, without hatred, without enmity. This is what we did at the start of this gathering. The closing part, with first a front direction, and then right hand, back, left, below, above, all directions. Okay, that's called the boundless approach. No? Okay, then verse 9, while standing, moving, sitting, or lying down, as long as one is not drowsy, one should keep this mindfulness. This is the divine abode here, they say. These are the 4 postures: standing, walking, moving can also translate as walking, sitting, and lying down. All 4 postures you can do loving kindness. Whereas breath is best done sitting. If you do breath lying down, you might fall asleep. Okay? Of course, if you are tired, it's okay. Nothing wrong with falling asleep, right? But you want to be alert, and to attain peace of mind, then we sit upright. But here, loving kindness, all the 4 postures you can do. It's a very important meditation for drivers in Singapore, so that you don't get road rage. You will save lives, right? So a lot of loving kindness. Use it in traffic jam. It makes the jam move faster. It turns the jam into butter. You can move faster. Okay? If you start getting angry and upset, no point. You only shorten your life. Don't do that. Then, as long as one is not drowsy, okay, you're drowsy or sleepy, you won't be able to meditate well. That's the meaning here. Divine abode, Brahma Vihara. This teaching is very important. I don't know why some groups among the Buddhists say, oh, don't do metta, this is a Brahmin thing and so on. Without metta, no love, I don't know what kind of Buddhism is that, right? The Buddha had a very important purpose when he introduced Brahma Vihara. Now, just before I talk about Brahma Vihara, when you look at the sutta, sometimes the stories like life of the Buddha are really amazing, full of miraculous events, very hard to believe them. Yeah? As modern scientific people, we tend to say, oh, this is not true, I don't want to believe this. And then some people even encourage us, oh, not true, you don't have to believe. I try a different approach. I ask myself, why is this story in the suttas in the first place? if we start cancelling out the things we don't like, nothing much left, So I asked myself, as a curious person, why is this story there? Why all this miraculous story? So now I'm working on the volume, Sutta Discovery volume 52, called The Miraculous Life of Gautama Buddha. Actually, it refers to just the first part, from his life in Tusita until just before the awakening. Full of miracles, all kinds of miracles. The child is born, the day is born, he walks 7 steps and speaks in a loud voice. I don't know how many scientific-minded young people believe that today. So I'm going to explain all that. I thought maybe I can take 20 pages, I'm now reached 70 pages already, 70 pages. It's going to take one whole volume of the SD, about 180 pages, because there's so many beautiful stories there. My point is, there's a reason why there are all these strange things mentioned in the sutta. We've got to find out why. What's behind all these wonderful stories? And then you discover there are other aspects with your faith and wisdom, right? So why did the Buddha introduce Brahma Vihara? In the Buddha's time, as today, there's a very powerful mainstream religion, but it is kind of weakening. It's called Brahmanism, and they believe in the God idea. They say, in the heavens there is this universal soul, and we are the Brahmins born from the mouth of God, and you, the rest, are to serve us, The noblemen, the Kshatriyas, come from the arms of this God, so you protect us. Then the merchants come from the trunk, so you support the other 2 classes. And then the workers, the Shudras, come from the feet. They do all the dirty jobs, and they support the other 3 classes. So they introduced this class system. The Buddha said, nope, where got such thing? The Buddha rejects all this kind of talk class system. So he says, God is not up there. God is not out there. Very modern. Brahma is not out there. You cultivate Brahma, you cultivate godliness inside you. Okay? So, in a sense, you can say Brahma Vihara is godliness. You cultivate the qualities of God inside you. What are the qualities of God? Love, loving kindness, compassion, joy or mudita, gladness, and equanimity. The 4 faces of Brahma represents the 4 qualities. And the 4 faces also represents universality, 4 directions. So the Buddha says you can cultivate this. So the Buddha internalizes all these things. The big difference between Buddhism and the God religions, Buddhism internalizes all the goodness is inside you. Other religions, they tend to externalize. You look for answers outside of you. It's a bit more risky that way, isn't it? So the Buddha said, look within yourself, you'll find the answers. You can do it, basically. So in a sense, the Buddha was the first management proponent, So you can do it, Other religions say, you can't do it, you come to me. So which one would you want to choose? The problem is sometimes we follow friends, So think for yourself, in other words. Okay, so we're coming near the end already. In fact, it's the last verse, right? The last verse says, and not falling into views, virtuous, accomplished in insight. There you are, this is already the wisdom aspect. Don't fall into views. This is the most beautiful part of Buddhism I love. And I only discovered this when I moved to Singapore. A lot of wonderful things happened to me when I moved to Singapore this time. I really became a totally different kind of Buddhist. Really a Sutta Buddhist, if you like. Everything is so clear. You see, the thing is, if you look at these views, we all have all kinds of views, right? That's why there's so many forms of Buddhism. And within a group of Buddhism, there's so many other subgroups. And then you have the teachers. Every teacher is a great view. You notice you go for meditation courses, every teacher says, my method. And then you find the method different from all other methods. So, what do? Well, you follow the teacher. Whatever he's teaching, you follow him. If it works for you, fine. If it doesn't work for you, try something else. All right? So, ultimately, once you start meditating, you must let go of all your views, whether it's Abhidhamma or suttas, whatever you have learned. You must let go of them, even the best of the things you have learned. The parable of the water snake, remember? The parable of the raft, Alagadupama Sutta. Why? Because views involve a lot of thinking. Thinking means you are using your mind through your senses, not direct experience. Remember the feeling, right? So in meditation, you must feel, not view. View, you just see something out there. Feel is inside you. So you must let go of all views, even the Dhamma, the Buddha says. Because there will be a hindrance if you think of them, because they are not yours yet, you are not awakened. So temporarily, you must let go of all views when you meditate. When you come out your meditation, you can go back to your views because we need some views anyway. So remember, views are all provisional. They're not final. If you think views are final, you've got a serious problem. You start arguing with everyone else. I've changed my views about the suttas, about Buddhism, many times over the last 50 years. And it gets better each time. You feel happier. It's like you're letting go of the past, letting go of the past. You're like a multi-stage rocket. You know, you let go of the spent fuel, all those capsules, and then you fly smoother, faster, farther, right? So, learn all you can. But when you meditate, you have to let go of views. When you become an arahat, no views. An arahat is like a clear mirror. You stand before the arahat, you see yourself, something like that. Okay, so this is the nature of views, no? So not falling into views. Notice the Pali says dittincha anupagamma. Simply ditti. Ditti means view. It doesn't say wrong view, it just says views. Virtuous, that means keeping to the precepts. Accomplish an insight. Notice wisdom, insight deals with the body, speech. Virtue. Virtuous deals with body, speech, and insight with the mind. Having discarded greed for sense pleasures. Now, this doesn't mean as lay people you stop enjoying whatever you're enjoying now, watching TV shows and having nice food. The meaning here is don't be attached to these things. Enjoy whatever good karma provides you. Really enjoy it, meaning put joy into what you are eating, into what you are watching. Enjoy it. Enjoy means be in the moment, present. Then you find you stop when you're full. You stop when the show ends. You don't drag on. You don't overeat. You don't, get lost in all these sensual pleasures. Then you are in trouble. The precepts means knowing when to stop. Enough. That's the 5 precepts, yeah? So in that sense, you discard greed for sense pleasures. You don't want more than you need. And finally, the last line says, one would not return to lie in a womb. Gabba sayang. Gabba says lying in the womb. In other words, you're no more reborn. Imagine this loving kindness, sutta. Here the Buddha says you can attain nirvana. If you use loving kindness and let go of views. In fact, without loving kindness, you will find it's very difficult to meditate. That is why we do the smiling thing. You need loving kindness in order to meditate well. Next time you get stuck, you got distractions, smile at it in your mind. I teach both Singaporeans and foreigners. Lots of foreigners come, When I ask, can you smile? A lot of Singaporeans say, what? Why smile? Nothing to smile about. Wow, I get goosebumps, I can't smile. Scary, right? I say practice smiling, okay? You smile inside you. You got to smile, otherwise your meditation won't work. There was this Indonesian who came the other day to do. He said, smile. Oh, yeah, very easy. I can smile. I was so happy when he said that, So natural. So as Buddhists, we are just naturally happy, If you can't, it's okay. You start with your meditation. Smile inside you. Nobody is going to watch you. You just smile. Right? If you can be seen, fine. You're not seen just inside, also can. Then you find your meditation is smoother. All right? And you find now the scientists tell you smile, those endorphins flow, so it helps. And that is a great de-stressor, not distress, de-stressor. Next time you feel stressed, smile. It's a great cure. Don't need to take pills anymore. All right? You see the Buddha image. You look at the Buddha's, just a gentle, subtle smile. This is a wonderful thing about Buddha images. It reminds us to be happy. Okay, on that note, I will end this talk. Question time.
Thank you, Mother Piya, for the sharing. Very interesting to see a different kind of breakdown of the sutta for this part. Right. Do you all learn something new today? Yes, so can we all say sadhu to Mother Piya first? 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So for those who have questions, can raise up your hands and we hand you the mic.
Thank you, Brother Piya, for the wonderful talk. So can I just clarify, just now Brother said that there's no transfer of merit. And we used to, every end of the Dhamma talk, we transfer of merit. Maybe do you want to clarify how is it? Actually, what is the meaning of this? And usually also, and I myself as well also, when after I meditate or doing some good, I do myself that I transfer my merit to my parent, friend, relative, enemy.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a word. It's just using the right word, that's all. You're doing the right thing. It's just what I object is the word, I'm not objecting to what you are doing. I think that the word transfer, there's no Pali word for it in this case. No Sutta word anyway. The word patidana was invented in Sri Lanka recently. Dana means to give, so they translate give as transfer. But we know very well it doesn't make sense. You can't transfer, here I will give you so much good karma. How do you do that, right? Do you agree with that? We can't transfer karma, can we? We can't, because it's goodness, So whereas if you look at the Pali, the word is parana. Parana means to radiate. So if I say, I wish you well and happy, it's just like you have 2 candles, one lit, one not lit. And then you light, the flame is transferred. We say transferred because it's physical to the unlit candle. But is anything really transferred? Of course, we know physics, we say, heat. The heat heats up the molecules and then the other one bursts into light. Something like that. So when you show loving kindness, you dedicate merits to relatives. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying just use the proper word should be dedicate, not transfer. If you don't think about it, it's no problem. You can go on doing transfer if you like. So, but my point is, if you really want to have the right word, right meaning, then the word should be dedicate.
My question is, though, if we do good, we earn good karma. So, I don't know what is the word. If we share the merit to other people, can they really accept it?
No. They cannot get your karma. Your karma is yours. But just because the father has done something bad doesn't mean the son will suffer the karma. In Buddhism it's not true.
So what actually they receive? Because sometimes we also want to dedicate our merit to the departed family.
Yeah.
So actually what they receive actually?
Like I said, you must have loving kindness. If you have loving kindness, then they are suffering, you see, because we're not suffering. They're in the Deva world. They're very happy. They don't need your all those prayers, right? If they are animals, also they cannot receive it unless they come back as pets to your house. You better treat them well, okay? Pets are very important. They are your relatives or some connection, So, and when they die, they come back to you. You can see, they are actually trying to tell you, I'm going to die. And if they die happily, there are many stories in the Buddhist text. They become devas, if you treat them well. Like Kantaka, the elephant, the monkey. Remember all those stories about animals? The frog that got killed while listening to the Buddha. They all became devas. Not very high ranking, but Tawatingsa, Tawatingsa, heaven of the 34. So when you use loving kindness, this unhappy being feels happy. It's just like you visit your lonely parent or somebody, grandparent, and he's so happy, Is anything transferred? Nothing, right? But your presence lights up this other person. So nothing is transferred here. So because if something is transferred, you have a problem with the teaching of no self also, So what is gone the same? It's just a matter of explaining, You make this person happy by your presence. Nothing is transferred, but something is happening. In other words, you can make another person happy. That's one way of putting it, but no transference. Basically what I'm saying is, if you forget about the word transference, all the things you are doing still happen in the same way. So it's just a matter of the word, that's all.
So we can't share the good karma that we have to others?
No. I wouldn't say you can't share. I would rather say the good that you do can affect other people.
Okay.
Like now I'm talking to you and something is changing in you. But I'm not transferring anything to you. You yourself are growing by your own good karma, by paying attention, and so on. So in other words, our actions does affect other people. Sometimes it may take many lives, All right? For example, sometimes in my taping here, I'll say, now you're listening to me. I'm already dead, but you can still hear me and you're still benefiting from my talk, but I'm already dead. You see my point? So even though I'm not there when the person is listening to watching this video, say 50 years from now, 100 years from now, still something is going on. But we didn't say I transferred something. I'm dead already. How can I transfer anything?
So how about this Ulambama Sutta, that we got a story that Venerable Moggallana...
Yeah, that one is not... It's different sutta, so I can't speak for it because the Buddha is not found in the early suttas. Ulambana is different. Those are traditional teachings. In Buddhism, we try to simplify it. Of course, don't quarrel with your elders. If they can't believe, just say, okay, because it's something difficult to explain to them, just follow them, And then in your mind, you do it properly. Important thing is your right attitude of mind. Whatever it is, if you want to believe in all those things, you no problem. But remember, you must have loving kindness. Without loving kindness, it won't work. Other things are all extra. So you forget, never mind. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah? Okay. Yes.
Hi, Piya. Just now you said that feeling is direct experience.
Yes.
Then no thinking. Then I would like to just ask for clarification because I like to think a lot. I mean, not think, read. And then when I read, I try to understand.
Yeah,
so where is the place of reading or thinking or understanding versus feeling?
Yeah, very good question. Very good. Thinking and feeling. Thinking is very important also. For example, the Buddha also says there are people who don't think, right? So in other words, we reflect on the sutta. Right? So some thinking is involved. So there is a time for thinking, there's a time for feeling. When you study suttas, you have to think about it. For example, you say, okay, what does this word mean? What is the context? And your thinking is very important, Okay? Thinking means right view. Thinking has to do with views. How you view something, how you see something, right? Thinking also changes, your view changes over time. Remember, your views are like the tree bark, Over the years, the tree will grow and you can count those rings, So in other words, don't be surprised as you come to the BF, every 5 years you check yourself, you find your views change. You understand better. That must happen. If you say, my views are the same as 10, 20 years ago, I don't know, there's a problem there. I think we all change our views because we mature, okay? We understand better. But once you start meditating, it's a different kettle of fish. It's a different thing already. Because I can't start thinking about my translation, or I should use this word, use that word, then I'm thinking I won't feel happy because I want to get into action, see? So feeling means simply letting go of all this activity of the mind, okay, activity of the senses. You directly watch the object in front of you so that you get total peace of mind. So there are we're talking about different levels of human experience. There is the cognitive aspect, knowing things. Yes, that's important. And then there is the what is the, I forget the word for feeling, affective aspect of your experience. The two have their place, in other words. But in meditation, I would say in meditation maybe a bit of thinking at the start. And then slowly from there we go into the totally free mind, in other words. Okay, so we're talking about activity. We don't want the mind to be too active. Thinking, the mind will be very active, and there's a place for that. And then feeling is when the mind is very peaceful. That's the main difference. Both have their place. Okay. Well, we can also say thinking leads to wisdom, and feeling leads to peace of mind. That's another way of putting it. So they both help each other. When you think, you know better where to go, how to feel. When you learn to feel, then you think better. So they can't help each other. Something like samatha, vipassana also. Two wings of a bird. You need both. Okay?
Any other questions?
Okay, then I will just respond announcement. Now I brought 2 free books, okay. This book is called Happiness Here and Hereafter. It is a very simple book you can give your friends about simple daily life. The Buddha advised you how to stay rich and happy. For example, if your family lose things, look for it, things will just spoil, repair, and so on. This is the one. Now this one is a single volume about Eightfold Path in detail. So this is, you can get it from the office, you can ask them. Okay, these are 2 books which I've written, given away free of charge. Any other questions before we finish? So, okay.
Thank you, Brother, for your time.
So I can step down now?
Yes.
Okay.
Do